every time I sat in a prison education department and watched a fully fledged adult, I don't even mean a 20-year-old, I mean a 30-year-old, doing the cat sat on the man. And I'd say, what on earth happened at school? And I wish I had a penny for every time the answer came back to me. Didn't go to school. So they come from hugely dysfunctional backgrounds. But it just doesn't suddenly happen. They've grown up in those backgrounds. Those backgrounds have always been known about. And there is virtually no serious early intervention. Everybody pays lip service to it. Early intervention is the answer. Nobody actually does. When I say nobody does, it is done too little. So we need early intervention where we can recognise problems. And then we need, what do you do with them when you've already got the problem? The big gap is the 12 to 14-year-olds where there is already a huge amount of trouble being caused and very few remedies available to the cause. And I strongly believe, and this was what I put forward as Shadow Home Secretary, in a big expansion of secure training centres, but working on a completely different model from how they work now, which is largely as warehouses. And what we should be doing is both carrot and stick. And we should be giving flexible sentences into those secure training centres. And we should be saying, for example, it's only an example, 6 to 12 months. And if you reach various targets that we will set, which will be both educational and behavioural, you'll get out at the 6-point mark. If you don't, you'll stay there until either you do or you reach the 12-month mark. And that would create what isn't there at the moment, which would be a shared incentive on the part of both the staff and the children. There isn't at the moment, it's there on the part of the staff, the children don't have it. Because they've got to be there for a certain length of time anyway, because it doesn't make any difference to them. So I think there are all manner of things, there are a whole load of other things as well, but those are the essentials of how I would tackle youth crime. As far as childhood obesity goes, bluntly, it's down to the parents. I mean, it really is. It's the parents who do the food. And, of course, we live in a society of fast food. And once again, it's sad, but it's a fact, that whereas you would expect it would be the affluent sections of society which stuff themselves silly, it isn't. Actually, most obesity, not all, but most obesity, is amongst the poorer sections of our community, because they're depressed, unmotivated, unlessoned themselves, never seen the preparation of proper nutrition, and just give what is easiest and quickest. And you see it, you go into homes, you see it. When I was doing that programme on council estates, you would go in, and what would you see? McDonald's on the menu. And again, when I was doing the benefits programme, that family which had 11 children living at home, 11 children. And I think the eldest was 12. And in case you wonder how he did it, he had 2. And what did they do? What did they supply? McDonald's. Fast food. Junk food. So it's got to, you can educate parents. You can't actually force them to do things. You can be careful what you do at school. You can do all of that. But you can't actually force parents to give proper nutrition. Okay, anybody else?
Let's come over to this side. I think we will go to two questions now. So we'll start here.
What is your opinion on what recent developments of the past in Scotland, and what is your opinion on current government in Scotland?
Right, okay.
And on the NHS,
Yeah.
how is this affecting what
That's right. Okay, let me deal with the Scottish one first. I'll try not to be too long on your question, because it is a crucial one. And if you do want to leave, don't feel remotely embarrassed, because I'm used to Dennis Skinner all the time. So, first of all, let me deal with the Scottish question. I mean, obviously, the Conservative performance in Scotland hasn't been, in recent years, all that we would wish. There was a time when we had an extremely respectable number of seats in Scotland, and when we were quite clearly the most influential party. And that has certainly gone into reverse, as it has also in various inner cities in the rest of the world. And I think the only answer to that has to be that gradually we have to build ourselves up again in exactly the same ways that the other parts had to do when we were dominant. And we have to build ourselves up by talking direct to Scotland and by making sure that Scotland knows that we would do things differently and what we would do and what it would cost. And I don't actually know any other way of doing it. There's no magic wand which you can wave and say, well, we'll reverse things. Now, of course, I mean, we do have devolution, which is making life quite difficult down in Westminster, where we have people voting to inflict on us things that they don't actually have north of the border. And so I think that the whole business of Scotland governing itself, whether it's SNP, whether it's Labour, whether it's coalition, whether it's Lib Dem, or whether in some future time it's Conservative, does actually raise its own problems. Problems which we're going to have to solve. We're going to have to solve the West Lothian question. I know you didn't ask me, but we're going to have to solve the West Lothian question. And we're going to have to solve it fairly quickly, because there is a growing sense of grievance south of the border. Now, a very important question. I'm not saying it was a really important question here. Okay, I've said I want to debate on the health service. Do I propose scrapping it? Was the question, and starting again. It is very hard simply to scrap something that you've got and go back to the drawing board. And this really came home to me after the fall of the Berlin Wall, when Eastern European countries were setting up the first part of welfare states. They'd never had. And obviously, they were drawing on our experience very, very heavily. And we all said to them, don't touch national insurance if it's a pay-as-you-go system, because you can never get out of it. Once the state is paying out today's pensions on the basis of what it's getting in today, it's locked. It's locked. Because if it tries some other system, how's it going to pay today's pensions? So it's very difficult simply to say, let's start again. And I'm not sure that I want to start completely from scratch. Because the health service that we've got could be very, very effective if everybody didn't take the attitude that its duty was to meet every last demand and that state must do it all. And there are all sorts of models we could look at. Look at the American model. We could look much more likely, I think, because I think it's kinder, at the French and the German model, where they don't have problems that we've got, where these drugs are widely available for their citizens, where they certainly don't tell people to go blind in one eye before they'll meet the other, where they certainly don't have long waiting lists of the sort that from time to time happens in this country. We could look at their models. We couldn't get there overnight because they're based on social insurance.